Good morning and welcome to the South Carolina Public Service Commission. It is approximately 10 a.m. We are here today concerning the application of the South Carolina Public Service Authority for a Certificate of Environmental Compatibility and Public Convenience and Necessity for the construction and operation of two dual-fuel aeroderivative combustion turbine generators and associated facilities at a brownfield site at the Winyah generating station in Georgetown, South Carolina. First, for the record, all commissioners are present here in the hearing room. Ms. Wester-Hill, if you would, please explain today's proceeding.
Yes, sir, and thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. As the Chairman mentioned, the hearing before you today is in docket number 2025-246E. It concerns the application of the South Carolina Public Service Authority, also known as Santee Cooper, for a Certificate of Environmental Compatibility and Public Convenience and Necessity for the construction and operation of two dual-fuel aeroderivative combustion turbine generators and associated facilities at a brownfield site in the Winyah generating station in Georgetown, South Carolina. This proceeding is brought to you and the application was filed pursuant to the South Carolina Utility Facilities Siting and Environmental Protection Act, which is in Chapter 33 of Title 58 of the South Carolina Code Annotated. The Chief Clerk of the Commission issued the Notice of Filing and Public Hearing on September 8th, 2025. This hearing actually began on November 25th with only the attorneys present at that proceeding to handle and address procedural issues, and no witnesses were provided at that time. Today is Tuesday, December 2nd, and it is the date notice and set for the hearing in this docket to reconvene beginning at 10 a.m. The purpose of this hearing is to receive evidence and witness testimony and other matters, and it shall continue each day thereafter at the call of the chair until completed and adjourned. Mr. Chairman, upon inquiry of all participating counsel of record, the parties of record are present together with their witnesses and are ready to proceed when called.
Thank you very much. First, and I did overlook the date being December 2nd, 2025. So we now have that in the record. Thank you very much. First, would the parties, beginning with Santee Cooper, please introduce themselves.
Good morning, Chairman Powers, Vice Chair Williams, and Commissioners. I'm Stephen Pelger on behalf of the South Carolina Public Service Authority. With me is Edwin Oha, a in-house attorney at Santee Cooper, Ashley Cooper of the Baker Donaldson Law Firm, and Catherine Wren of the Baker Donaldson Law Firm.
Well, and thank you for pronouncing his name for us. Who's here for the Office of Regulatory Staff?
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, and Commissioners. Chad Torrey on behalf of ORS, and I'm joined today by Tom Philopoulos.
All right, thank you very much and welcome. Is there anyone online, virtually or here for the South Carolina Department of Environmental Services? South Carolina Department of Natural Resources, or the South Carolina Department of Parks, Recreation, and Tourism? All right, hearing none, it's my understanding that, Mr. Pelcher, that you would like to make an opening presentation. Mr. Cooper, help yourself.
Morning, Chairman Powers, members of the Commission. I'll be brief, but I just wanted to give you a brief overview of what you'll be hearing today from the witnesses. There won't be a flyover today. I apologize of the site, but we do have a few pictures to kind of help you get a better idea of what's being proposed, where it's being proposed. Let's see. So I guess you all can see this. So we're bringing you today an energy infrastructure project under Act 41 at a brownfield energy site, and the site is the Winyah generating station site. And so we will be using land that's already been cleared where existing generator is located to add these new LM peaking turbines, which you'll hear more about today. So this is an overview of the site, and if you look closely, you can see a little gold star, and that represents where these generators, if we receive approval from you all, will be located on the site. This is just a brief overview of when we say a LM6000 or a peaking turbine, what do we mean? It's for somebody who's not an engineer, it's think of it as like when they say aeroderivative, it comes from an airplane engine, right? So the purpose of this is it's lighter, it's very efficient, it's designed to start quickly, ramp up quickly, ramp down quickly, just like an airplane engine. So when you think about it in terms of system economy and system reliability, two words that mean a lot in these proceedings, you have a plant that is specifically designed. Now, there are other gas plants that can and are capable of ramping up and down quickly, but this is specifically designed to start quickly, ramp up quickly, ramp down quickly. So what that means is not only do you have something that will help meet these times, like in the winter peaks, right? And it'll meet that to provide system reliability. It's also, by having a plant that's designed for this, it's going to help in terms of wear and tear and maintenance on these other plants and not using them for this, and having something that's specifically designed for this capability. They're dual fuel operated, so they're capable of running on gas or diesel. And they will be located within the Winyah's existing closed South Ash Pond. And this is a rendering of what this will look like on the existing Winyah site, the Brownfield site, when these LM turbines are installed. So that's just a quick overview. We'll be having several witnesses come up today to talk in more detail, but just wanted to provide that overview to you.
Chair Powell,
Commissioner Williams.
could I ask some just directional kind of questions about the initial map? Just, they're not related to substance matters. It's just orientation.
You can, but it really wouldn't be evidence because this
Right.
is just an opening statement. I would
And we
prefer
will
if you
have
wait and ask the witnesses.
We will have some witnesses. I'd be happy to answer any questions, but we will have witnesses who are capable of doing math and orienting you on where things are located.
I don't think it's that hard. It's really just, I understand it's not evidence, but the yellow line on the map of Fraser Street, is that also known as Highway 17? I can wait if you don't know the answer. I don't want to, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
I will have to consult with my colleagues.
Okay, well-
it's always dangerous when you say it's easy, and then I have to consult with my colleagues. So.
I'm sorry for setting that expectation. I'll withhold questions. But just for everybody to know, it's really just understanding, having driven near that area often, but not being able to wrap my brain around what I'm seeing in the aerial.
It does look, seeing the Georgetown airport, the county airport there, it would seem to me that it's certainly right there. If that's not it, it's right there at it. But we'll let somebody clarify for us.
Yeah. I don't think Mr. Cooper wants me to swear him in, so we'll wait on the witnesses for that.
I thought driving in the rain was going to be tough. Well, with that, Mr. Chairman, I'm prepared to call our first witness if
All right.
this is.
Let me ask if ORS wants to say anything in response or any statement.
No, Mr. Chair, thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, call your witness.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, the South Carolina Public Service Authority calls Rahul Dimbla to the stand.
Do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Dimbla, please state your name for the record.
Rahul Dambla,
By whom are you employed and in what capacity?
by Santee Cooper, its Chief Planning Officer.
Mr. Dimbla, have you prepared or caused to be prepared under your supervision direct testimony of 26 pages that was previously filed with the Commission on August 28, 2025 in this docket?
Yes.
Do you have any changes, additions, or updates to your pre-filed direct testimony?
Yes, I do have one update. Santee Cooper proposed this project to Central, our largest customer, as a shared resource, and Central's management recently indicated that its board has agreed to opt into this project as a shared resource.
Thank you, Mr. Demla. And other than that update, if I ask you the same questions here today, would your answers be the same?
Yes.
Have you prepared or caused to be prepared under your supervision one exhibit to your direct testimony labeled as Demla Direct Exhibit 1 that was previously filed with the Commission as an attachment to your pre-filed direct testimony in this docket?
Yes.
Do you have any changes or additions to your exhibit?
I do not.
Chairman Powers, at this time, I move that the pre-filed direct testimony of Mr. Demla be admitted into the record as if given orally from the stand, and that Mr. Demla's direct exhibit be marked and entered into the record.
The pre-filed direct testimony with update of Mr. Dembla will be entered in the record as if given orally from the stand. The pre-filed exhibits of witness Dembla identified as direct exhibit 1 is marked for identification and placed in the record as exhibit number 1.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Demla, have you prepared a summary of your direct testimony?
Yes.
Would you please deliver that summary at this time?
Yes. Thank you. Good morning, Chair Powers and members of the Commission. My name is Rahul Dembla, and I'm the Chief Planning Officer for Santee Cooper. I'm responsible for overseeing resource planning, including the development of Santee Cooper's integrated resource plans. My current role encompasses leadership of resource planning and renewable procurement and contract negotiations. I also oversee Santee Cooper's joint resource planning efforts with our largest wholesale customer, Central. Prior to this role, since joining Santee Cooper in 2016, I have led several planning and finance functions, including long-term financial planning and forecasting, retail rates, and corporate budgets. In this proceeding, I submitted direct testimony on behalf of Santee Cooper in support of its application for a Certificate of Environmental Compatibility and Public Convenience and Necessity to construct and operate 2 dual-fuel aeroderivative combustion turbine generators, also known as CTGs, and associated facilities at Santee Cooper's existing Winyah generating station site in Georgetown, South Carolina. My testimony describes the need for these facilities, the studies performed to evaluate the project, and the benefits of the facility's proposed site. The proposed project involves the construction of 2 CTGs at a brownfield site in Georgetown County. Once operational, these units will provide up to 107 megawatts of winter net dependable capacity. Santee Cooper has proposed this project to help meet its growing energy needs. In recent years, Santee Cooper's load requirements have increased. In 2025, Santee Cooper eclipsed peaks of 5,414 megawatts in winter and 5,207 megawatts in summer. This year alone, Santee Cooper has recorded 7 new system peaks, 3 in the winter season and 4 in summer. Since 2021, Santee Cooper's peak has grown steadily by approximately 16%. We project this growth to continue. Santee Cooper's most recent load forecast projects an approximately 800 megawatt increase in system demand by 2030 from what was projected in our 2023 IRP. Based on this forecast and growth in demand, Santee Cooper has identified a need for additional capacity and energy resources beginning in the winter season of 2027, with the need ultimately exceeding 2,000 megawatts upon the future possible retirement of coal units at the Winyah generating station. Santee Cooper is pursuing a diverse portfolio of resources, including this project, to meet this need in a timely manner. This is consistent with Santee Cooper's recent IRPs approved or accepted by the Commission. Santee Cooper's 2023 IRP and 2024 annual update both include a preferred resource plan that retires the Winyah generating station and adds significant amounts of solar and natural gas combined cycle by the early 2030s. The plan also includes peaking combustion turbine generators as proposed in this docket, and battery energy storage systems as needed to meet capacity and reserve margin needs. Santee Cooper's recently filed 2025 IRP update also supports this project as a cost-effective option to meet the identified capacity need. Importantly, the generators proposed in this docket will allow Santee Cooper to add valuable incremental capacity at an existing brownfield site when it is needed. As witness Iden and witness Settle describe in their testimonies, the project was evaluated alongside a variety of resource options, and it proved to be a cost-effective and economic choice. Santee Cooper's evaluation also considered long-term power purchase options that resulted from a request for proposals for generation capacity issued by Santee Cooper in January of 2025. However, based on RFP responses received, Santee Cooper determined that these options will not provide reliable generation at a lower cost than what is proposed in this docket. Also, while Santee Cooper continues to acquire solar resources through the Commission-approved Competitive Procurement of Renewable Energy or CPRE program, solar provides very little energy during cold winter mornings when Santee Cooper's system peaks. Thus, Santee Cooper still must build dispatchable and non-duration limited sources like this project to reliably meet its system's peak requirements. Santee Cooper's modeling analysis, which determined the need for the proposed CTGs, also appropriately incorporated projected energy efficiency and demand-side management programs. The results of modeling show that the capacity need identified in the load forecast cannot be met through such programs alone. Significantly, the CTGs proposed in this docket represent a solution that will help meet Santee Cooper's capacity and reliability needs. The project will involve dual-fuel aeroderivative turbines, which are small, modular, and highly flexible generating assets. The CTGs are expected to run during critical hours to ensure reliability and meet customers' needs during summer and winter peaks. They also will provide operating reserves due to their ability to start quickly at any time. In sum, the CTG's benefits include the following. They add valuable incremental capacity at an existing brownfield site at a time of unprecedented growth, provides non-duration limited resources to meet system requirements during peak periods and other times, enhances reliability and flexibility, supporting the integration of growing intermittent solar resources, provides additional operating reserves and responsiveness during system emergencies and extreme weather events, supports potential future retirement of coal-fired assets at Winyah, ensuring continued reliability for the transmission system, and they allow for timely implementation to meet the forecasted load. The project is estimated to cost approximately $257 million, with interconnection costs estimated at $23.5 million. Santee Cooper targets commercial operation for the winter season of 2028. This is consistent with Santee Cooper's modeling, which determined that the project is an optimal solution to provide additional peaking generation capacity in this time frame. Santee Cooper has proposed to locate the project at Winyah, an existing brownfield site. This offers several advantages. First, the site leverages existing infrastructure, including transmission and natural gas pipeline access. This is expected to streamline permitting and accelerate implementation. Second, the Winyah site is located close to our load center, which will provide reliability benefits. And third, siting the proposed facilities at Winyah is consistent with the South Carolina Energy Security Act 41 of 2025, which recognizes that the prompt siting, permitting, and completion of energy infrastructure projects, including brownfield electrical generation projects, is crucial to the welfare of the state. In sum, the proposed facilities represent an optimal solution to provide Santee Cooper's customers with long-term electric system reliability and support economic development. The project is not only vital and necessary, but also the most cost-effective with least environmental impact, serving the interests of system economy and reliability. Santee Cooper is confident the public convenience and necessity require implementation of this project. This concludes the summary of my direct testimony. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dembla. Mr. Chairman, at this time, Mr. Dembla is available for cross-examination by third parties and questions from the commission.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper, and thank you, Mr. Demba. Any questions from the Office of Regulatory Staff?
No questions.
All right, Commissioner questions. Commissioner Brett.
I have a quick question. What were some of the options that y'all evaluated when you talked about looking at several options that were cost effective, and this became the most cost effective and economic choice? What were those?
So we offered the model a wide variety of traditional renewable resource options. So ranging from these aeroderivative turbines, battery energy storage, large frame combustion turbines, natural gas combined cycles. We offer all these to the model with the earliest availability and the cost assumptions that underlie it, and let the model come up with a solution. And in this case, the optimal solution selected these aeroderivative turbines and some other peaking resources in this time frame, like battery energy storage.
I think you answered my question. Appreciate it. It's a very good presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Brett. Any further commissioner questions? Vice Chair Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning.
How would you describe the concepts of least cost versus least risk? And in your opinion, is there a difference between those two concepts?
Yes, Commissioner. So I would say when we use the term cost effective, it's a least cost balanced for that risk. So for example, you could, and you see this in our integrated resource plans, we take a set of base assumptions and let the model solve for the least cost, right? And it comes up with a solution with a portfolio of resources, but then you test that portfolio by weighing a lot of assumptions. The natural gas prices could vary, the underlying capital costs for the projects could vary significantly, and when we sensitize it, we try to look at the impact on the cost. So a certain portfolio which could be least cost with the base assumptions may not be the least cost under a high natural gas price scenario. So we look at a range of options, look at the most regret you could have in any one solution, and see which portfolio performs the best under the widest variety of likely assumptions, future assumptions, because these are 20, 30-year decisions. So that's how I would describe it. Cost effective is that, hey, it's least cost in the most range of assumptions and likely to be the best solution with least regret.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Commissioner Williams.
Thank you, Chair Powers. Good morning.
Good morning.
You mentioned reserve margin, and so I wanted you to talk a little bit more about how this proposal meets Santee Cooper's newish reserve margin a little bit more in more detail. Is that something you can answer?
Yes, absolutely. I can try, and my other experts can fill in later what I missed. But in short, we have a load forecast, which becomes the underlying projection for which we solve what resources are needed. On top of that, we have a reserve margin. This reserve margin is established in conjunction with our integrated resource planning. It's an independent study which tells us for our system to perform reliably. And reliably is defined by industry experts as it should not have more than one incident in 10 years. So they solve for that probability by weighing a lot of underlying variables and come up with what reserve margin would result in that 1 in 10 reliability. And it's for us, it was established at 18% in conjunction with our 2023 IRP, and is being reevaluated with our 2026 triennial IRP next year. So the winter reserve margin, what I mentioned, 18% is the winter reserve margin, which is what drives we are a winter peaking system, and that's what drives our needs. But the summer reserve margin currently is 12%, and again, it's being reevaluated with our 2026 triennial IRP.
And how does this request fit in with that reserve margin?
Okay, yeah, great question. I think so. We take for the software modeling effort that I mentioned. Once we've established the reserve margin, we take our load projections and we look at the additional resources that are needed, reserve margin, and that's a very critical input to the modeling software. And then we offer it all the resource options that could meet that need, and that modeling determines what is the right mix of peaking and base load resources that would serve the system most cost effectively.
So everything that you testified to, that's just in my mind, graphically thinking, there's need and then reserve margin, and all of the options you looked at take, and this one in particular, accounts for both the need and the reserve margin.
Yes.
Is that fair?
That's fair.
Elemental, but fair.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Do you have an update on natural gas supply and over what was in the testimony?
Yes, and I'll cover that at a high level, and then witness Richard Kirkpatrick can provide more details. When we made the filing, at the time we were pursuing opportunities. So this is a dual fuel unit. We had oil backup, and we knew these units will be available to meet the winter peaking needs. And that they were a valuable resource with that alone. But we were pursuing through our fuel management group, pursuing natural gas options, because that would enhance the value of these resources even more. They'll get utilized more. So since then, we have secured approximately 5,700 decatherms of natural gas transportation, which would allow for about 6 hours of operations a day, which is sufficient for a peaking resource of this nature.
Is there hope that there will be additional assets in the future that would be allow you the ability to go beyond the 6 hours a day?
So there would, you mean more natural gas transportation? I would defer that to, so we are not relying on any new natural gas infrastructure being built for this. So it would, how we will.
That's the question I'm getting at.
Okay.
That's okay.
Right.
And if there's not an answer in terms of new opportunity, that's where I was headed. Okay.
Thank you.
I think that is all that I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. Commissioner Britt,
I have two quick questions, Mr. Timberlake.
Yes, sir.
If I heard correctly, when Vice Chairman Williams was asking a question, I thought I heard your answer. Was it 30 years? Is that what you project the life expectancy for this facility?
Yeah, so I would say that 20 to 30 years is expected, but they could run longer if well maintained.
With that equipment, those two units?
Yes.
All right. And the second question, how many acres are in the red line?
2,000 acres.
2,000. All right. That's all.
But this project will only impact a small portion of that boundary. That's the entire Winyah generating station. And these LM units will be in the South Ash Pond, and I believe subject to confirmation by witness Dills later, about 20 acres will be impacted by this project.
Okay. Thank you.
thank you, Commissioner Britt. Commissioner Caston, do you have questions?
Yes, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
First, who is the best to, I guess, discuss the load growth? Is that you or Mr. Settles?
I can answer high-level questions, and witness Settle can fill in, but he would be most knowledgeable about that.
I will wait on Mr. Settle. And I guess following up on the Vice Chair's question relative to, I guess, cost, and, I'm familiar with, I guess, weighting attributes to try to determine the best choice, best decision. At least from my experience, let's say cost.
Right.
Might be 50% of 100%. It might be 60, 70, 80. Reliability might be some percentage. So in hearing that answer, I still wasn't really sure how you come to that. Not saying you didn't come to a good decision, but thinking in terms of, I think ORS, said compare best for our battery storage, which was a lesser cost, but to determine that overall most cost effective. What's the general methodology that you use?
Let me try to answer Commissioner Caston. So in our IRP proceeding, when we solve and compare all these portfolios, we don't weight these attributes how you described, and there is a reason for that. I think some of these underlying scenarios or assumptions are black or white. For example, there may or may not be a greenhouse gas regulation, right? And there may be a CO2 tax or not. So I think by weighting those attributes, you could really favor certain assumptions, which may or may not play out at all. I think if you instead of you mentioned reliability. I think we all the portfolios that we solve for include the same reserve margin, and we solve it for the same level of reliability, which is very high, with a 1 in 10 incident. So we don't attribute any weight to that. So now with those inputs, that's solving for if not 100%, and 99.99% reliability, we come up with the least cost portfolios. And then we test them across how these portfolios will perform in different future outcomes. So for example, as I said, a greenhouse gas regulation could be a black or white. So what we need to test for is that the portfolio we are putting forward would not strand an asset that we're building if a greenhouse gas regulation materializes. And that's question one. The second is, hey, if it does not strand an asset, is it still going to be a good solution for the customers and for the state of South Carolina? We check for that. Yes, there will be different costs, but it's within range of what we expect, and it's still the best solution. So that's how we test all these assumptions versus attaching weights to different attributes, if that makes sense.
It does.
And to answer the final part of your question, when we put all these resource options in the basket and churn the model, this hearing is focused on the aeroderivative turbines, and you mentioned the battery energy storage. Both of them show up and are being pursued separately, but battery energy storage are not generators, they're storage. They rely on generators such as this one and others in the portfolio to provide energy, and then you have to hold on to that energy for peaking hours so you can discharge it when the system needs it, or for providing operating reserves. Whereas these LM6000s or the aeroderivative CTGs can provide, it's a dispatchable 24/7 resource. So that's why it tries to bring a portfolio or mix of these resources that work well together.
So the long and short of it is, you just didn't make a decision willy-nilly, but you have a process and a methodology
Yes,
to
sir.
go through.
Yes, sir.
Understand. And, finally, I guess looking at your bullet points of, why this, and I think you talked about how many exceedances you'd had in your peak demand in winter and summer. And it enhances, you said, reliability and flexibility, supporting the integration of growing intermittent solar resources. That's a lot to digest, but this unit is primarily for peaking for brief periods of time, maybe a few hours, whatever it is. And I guess as far as allocating, say, a cost for that, the causation. Santee Cooper will reasonably do that based on what? I mean, how do you kind of determine that on this? What's causing the winter or summer peaking? Is the intermittent solar doing something?
Oh, okay. think I understand, Commissioner Caston, but let me know if I don't address it. So I would say that the most value for this resource would, as I mentioned, even with just the oil backup, it would have provided very critical, relatively low-cost capacity option in the winter peaking season. You need capacity at that time that can come on quickly and meet the choppy, quick winter peaks. The summer peaks are more stable. The winter peaks can be sharper and more choppy. So that's one thing. But with the 5,700 decatherm of natural gas, and our fuels team will manage fuel supply on an ongoing basis. I think it would likely play a somewhat important role in the summer peaking and period as well. So I think it would run at higher. It'll get a lot more usage. So the value that you derive from it and what you attribute to it will change with the fuel supply over the next 20 plus 30 years. But it will, because this can come on quickly, unlike some other resources which can try to back solar but not as well as this one, this serves as an operating reserve. So that you don't have to commit it and keep it on. You can just bring it on in 5 minutes and then it can ramp pretty quickly. So depending on what's going on with the intraday weather patterns, which is very hard to model, it can provide a lot of value during those periods as the summer portfolio grows. So its value would vary from time to time, from periods to periods. I think it'll meet the summer peaking needs as well with the natural gas supply, but its biggest value would be meeting the winter peaking demand by 2028, because there were no real resource options, dispatchable 24/7 resource options that could be available by the winter of 2028.
And I guess just out of curiosity, and I didn't see it, didn't jump out at me, but when you were talking about the dual fuel system, I don't remember the exact numbers, but with I think it was fuel oil, it was 40 plus
5 days of. There'll be 5 days of oil back.
Right, but I was thinking in terms of the megawatts generated or the potential for megawatts generated. There seemed to be, it's fairly decent difference between the gas and that. Is that because of the heat? I mean, why is that?
It is. I will see if witness Dills or witness Iden can explain that better than I can, but you're right about that.
That was just one of those curiosity things. But thank you very much. No more questions.
Thank you, sir.
Any further commissioner questions? Commissioner Thomas?
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
So I have a question. I'm thinking that we recently approved in the upstate for Santee Cooper a simple cycle getting converted to a combined cycle. And I guess the design of this is just so different from the get-go for a quick start and quick ramp and that kind of a thing that maybe it's not susceptible to being later converted to a combined cycle. Is that something that was, thought about, or can you help me understand just a little bit about the difference in those types of units?
Yeah, that's a very good question also. I think that a few things. The Rainy had similar but larger CTGs, the peaking units, which were converted to, which are being converted to a natural gas combined cycle, a one-on-one. A combined cycle is more capital cost relatively, but you get a lot more usage. They're more efficient, and so not only did we get more megawatts at Rainy by doing that conversion, so now for the year 2028 we'll have these LMs, plus we'll have that incremental 170 megawatt capacity at Rainy from the conversion. So both of them will meet the winter peaking reserve margin and the load forecast. But to get true value out of a combined cycle investment, you need more natural gas supply. I think Winyah, the site at Winyah generating station, is more suited for peaking units that will run less, and you can justify that investment because unless there are natural gas pipeline investments in that area. So I would say the Rainy site is better suited for that conversion. This one is not at this time. And I don't see in the foreseeable future that changing, at least not in the next few years.
Yeah, I understand that there's a great difficulty in getting natural gas to that area and lots of parts of the state. But I think one of the things about the Rainy station was, if I remember correctly, it was not going to require additional fuel. It was going to utilize the waste gases,
Correct.
but not need additional fuel. Is that correct?
That is correct. So it's the same turbines that require the same amount of natural gas, but because they put that through another heat recovery system, they now become a lot more. They produce more energy with the same natural gas, same amount of natural gas. But because they become more efficient, it's beneficial for the system to justify that investment to get more natural gas through it and produce. So it's the same natural gas, more megawatt hours, but now you're incentivized to have more natural gas supply there and increase the capacity factor of that unit, if that makes sense.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Commissioner Williams.
Thank you, Chair Powers, and Mr. Dimble, I overlooked this the first time around, but you need to go to this, but in your testimony on page 15 to 16, you talk about the current 2025 system load forecast incorporates significant anticipated load growth from economic development. Would you talk about the load growth that you mentioned? Oh. Should I start over? Okay. Let me, that was not to you, but to those that are recording this. Mr. Dimble, in your testimony on page 15 to 16, you, at the bottom of 15, you talk about the current 2025 system load forecast incorporates significant anticipated load growth from economic development. Would you describe what that load growth that you're referring to is?
Yes, so I think this is somewhat of a continuation of a past trend. I know since 2021, I mentioned that in the summary of my testimony, our summer peaking demand was pretty stable in that 2016, my first 5 years of Santee Cooper, from 2016 through 2021. And then the system has since added 700-ish megawatts to the peaking demand, from roughly 4,500 to 5,200 megawatts. And the projections show that demand will continue over the next several years. So based on the current projections, the need will grow from 5,500 megawatts to about 7,500 megawatts in late 2030s or 2040. That's a very significant growth. And a lot of this is the economy in the state, population growth, industry relocating. I think there is also the data center demand. It's not not the only thing, but all of these factors together, manufacturing is resulting in the load projections growing for us after a long period. But again, we're already seeing this in the past 5 or 6 years, and now it appears that it'll continue.
And you may have, are there specific variables that you just kind of referenced that cause the load growth to exponentially increase, or is it all of the above that you referenced, the population growth, the economic development, the data centers?
So I would say that the underlying service territory and organic growth was already starting to materialize in a pretty significant way. I think in our direct service territory, Myrtle Beach area, I think any of the economic metrics, the population growth, the economic growth, everything has been above national averages for the past few years. So I think we observe that. I think we get similar feedback from Central in their service territory. But then, as you must have seen in a lot of publications, there's significant interest from AI and data center sort of companies, and I think that's beginning to materialize in a big way. I think since the 2023 IRP 600 or 700 megawatts has committed, and there are several thousand megawatts who are in active conversations. We don't include all of that in our load forecast. It's stochastically significantly reduced. But all these, so that is a part of our load forecast, a portion of those interests from the data centers.
Okay. And will you tell me who I should ask this of? How, and maybe it's too early to ask this, but how will that be allocated from a customer class perspective? When we get to that point, who should I ask? Kind of who's going to bear the cost and how it's going to be allocated?
So none of the witnesses here, they're all focused on resource planning. None of them are in that, the rate allocation. They don't have the expertise in that area. But we do have a very robust rate making process. So I think we focus on making sure that the load forecast is a high quality load forecast, which does not overestimate or underestimate projected load. And then we plan for the most cost effective portfolio. And then through that independent rate making process, for example, I know that we have an experimental large load rate, which asks for specific commitments that if any potential customers that drive investment are going to make commitments to stay for a long term. So that experimental rate will likely go through another iteration with the next rate study and become a more permanent rate. So that's one mechanism. And then I think when the rate study, again, outside of my expertise, does an allocation of production cost, transmission cost depends on who utilizes those services. So I think that process ensures that the cost allocation is fair.
And in all honesty, that's not in our responsibility either, but it's hard not to just ask a little bit about that to understand the Santee Cooper's approach. So I appreciate your playing with me with that question, knowing that it's not a factor for us.
Thank you.
Ultimately. Thank you.
I appreciate that.
Follow up.
Commissioner Caston.
Just to follow up, Mr. Dempler, if I understood it, when you were talking about, I guess the talked about load growth from data centers and AI, did I understand you to say that you don't include that in your stochastic modeling?
We do, but the stochastic process significantly reduces the amount of load that we include in our load forecast for modeling purposes. So, for example, there may be ongoing conversations with potentially 4,000 megawatts of customers, but we would apply variables to it. For example, for those who have just begun conversations and they have not made any investment, they don't own a site, would not receive much probability of being a part of the system till they are further along in the process. And the further along you are in the process, and if you have skin in the game, then you are reflected in the load forecast to some extent. So I think that process has worked pretty well for us so far.
Stochastic modeling is simply just the probability, and
That's right.
I'm not saying it's not relevant, but I got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Caston. Any further commissioner questions? Mr. Demba, you have managed to look at the big picture, the small picture. You've done a very good job as far as explaining stuff. If you get tired of working for Santee Cooper, I'd suggest you be a professor. You have real good knowledge. I just have a couple of things I wanted to bring up. And one thing I guess I learned the more I do this job is that prudency and least costs are not necessarily the same things. They are different things because of things like growth. This place where the exact location of where you're building, this being a former coal ash pond, as the record shows, is there any other possible use for this property that would be safe other than what the company's doing?
Subject to witness Dills, who knows this site really well, correcting me later on, I would say this site would have been reclaimed and been unused. So I think I can't see of a better use for it, from my perspective.
But it's more or less, it's the perfect site for
It
something
is.
like this.
Yes.
Okay. And the interconnection cost, I want to say you said 27 million.
23.5 million.
Okay. If you were to build this somewhere else, those interconnection costs would be much higher, would they not?
Yes.
Okay.
And very likely to require, again, subject to witness Chris Wagner shedding some light on this. I think it would likely require not only the interconnection cost, but network upgrades, depending on where it's sited. This happens to leverage the existing transmission network around that site in Georgetown.
And in line with your IRP that we've dealt with, this is not to replace coal or to replace any existing facility or output that you have, but rather to add to it. Is that
Yes.
a fair statement?
Correct.
All right. How do you get the diesel and the gas to this site once it's built?
So the diesel oil is trucked. I'm pretty sure of that, but witness Kirkpatrick, who manages our fuel, he can clarify that. And for the natural gas, that's the 5,700 decatherm I mentioned, that the capacity we have secured in the pipeline company. So that's the natural gas pipeline company will install a metering station there, and we've secured the volume. I think that project to install the metering station would be only a few months. And through that pipeline network, we would have access to upstream natural gas. It's already connected to the upstream natural gas fields, and it'll flow to these aeroderivatives.
Thank you, Mr. Demba. Any redirect?
No redirect, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Well, thank you very much. You may step down.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Should we call him back up here and do it now? All right. Mr. Cooper.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
I think at some point we need to determine exactly where the update fits into this. If you could provide that, Mr. Demba mentioned his update, so it'll be proper in the record.
And I'm not certain when you say where it should appear. I think
In the pre-filed testimony where exactly his update fits in.
Okay. Would you like just us to refile his testimony with a red line, or is that
That would help a
easiest?
lot.
Okay, we'll be happy to do that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes. Mr. Chair, at this time, the company would call Mr. John Dills, Mr. Paul Iden, and Brian Lynch to come up and appear as a panel.
Gentlemen, if you would raise your right hands, please. Do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Mr. Dills, you ready? Okay, thanks. Mr. Dills, please state your name for the record.
John Dills.
And by whom are you employed, in what capacity?
I'm employed by Santee Cooper as Director of New Generation.
And Mr. Dills, have you prepared or caused to be prepared under your supervision direct testimony of 16 pages that was previously filed with the Commission on August 28, 2025 in this docket?
Yes.
Do you have any changes or additions to your pre-filed direct testimony?
No.
If I asked you the same questions here today, would your answers be the same?
Yes.
Have you prepared or caused to be prepared under your supervision any exhibits to your direct testimony?
No.
Chairman Powers, at this time I move that the pre-filed direct testimony of Mr. Dills be admitted into the record as if given orally from the stand.
The pre-filed direct testimony, Mr. Dill, will be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Dills. Mr. Iden. Mr. Iden, please state your name for the record.
Paul Iden,
And by whom are you employed and in what capacity?
Sergeant in Lundy. I'm a project director and senior vice president.
Mr. Iden, have you prepared or caused to be prepared under your supervision direct testimony of 16 pages that was previously filed with the Commission on August 28, 2025 in this docket?
Yes, I have.
Do you have any changes or additions to your pre-filed testimony?
No, I do not.
And if I asked you the same questions here today, would your answers be the same?
Yes.
Have you prepared or caused to be prepared under your supervision 4 exhibits to your direct testimony, labeled as Iden Direct Exhibit 1, Iden Direct Exhibit 2, which was filed as both a public version and a confidential version, Iden Direct Exhibit 3, and Iden Direct Exhibit 4 that were previously filed with the Commission as attachments to your pre-filed direct testimony in this docket?
Yes, that's correct.
Do you have any changes or additions to your exhibits?
No, I do not.
Chairman Powers, at this time, I move that the pre-filed direct testimony of Mr. Iden be admitted into the record as if given orally from the stand, and that Mr. Iden's direct testimony be marked and entered into the record while preserving the confidentiality of the portions of Iden Direct Exhibit 2 that were filed under seal.
The pre-filed direct testimony, Mr. Iden, will be entered in the record as if given orally from the stand. The pre-filed exhibits of witness Iden identified as 1 through 4, with number 2 having a confidential version or marked for identification, and will be placed in the record as exhibit number 2. The confidential version of exhibit number 2 of Mr. Iden shall remain confidential unless or until the Commission rules that such information is not entitled to protection from public disclosure, or if the requesting party agrees that such information is no longer confidential or proprietary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Lynch. Mr. Lynch, would you please state your name for the record?
Brian Lynch,
And by whom are you employed in what capacity?
employed by Santee Cooper as the Director of Environmental Services.
And Mr. Lynch, have you prepared or caused to be prepared under your supervision direct testimony of 14 pages that was previously filed with the Commission on August 28, 2025 in this docket?
Yes.
Do you have any additions to your pre-filed direct testimony?
Yes, I do. I have one change, and that is to note the applicability of the 2024 greenhouse gas new source performance standard regulations to the combustion turbines. That, however, noted in the testimony, they are not expected to restrict the operation of these units. Additionally, I had a few updates. Given the availability of natural gas to the project, Santee Cooper intends to modify its permit to allow these turbines to operate on natural gas prior to commercial operation of these units. Also, as I noted in my testimony, Santee Cooper would need to complete closure of the south ash pond. This work has been completed and the former ash pond is now closed.
If I asked you the same questions here today, would your answers be the same?
Yes.
Have you prepared or caused to be prepared under your supervision one exhibit to your direct testimony labeled as Lynch Direct Exhibit 1 that was previously filed with the Commission as an attachment to your pre-filed direct testimony in this docket?
Yes.
Do you have any changes or additions to your exhibit?
No.
Chairman Powers, at this time I move that the pre-filed direct testimony of Mr. Lynch be admitted into the record as if given orally from the stand, and that Mr. Lynch's direct exhibit be marked and entered into the record.
The pre-filed direct testimony of Mr. Lynch will be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand. We would, of course, ask for some sort of explanation and placement of the updates in a red line version, if you could provide that at a later time. The pre-filed exhibit of witness Lynch identified as Lynch Exhibit 1 is marked for identification and placed in the record as Exhibit Number 3.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and just to confirm, we will provide that update that you requested.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Dills, have you prepared a summary of your direct testimony?
I have.
And Mr. Iden, have you prepared a summary of your direct testimony?
Yes, I have.
Mr. Lynch, have you prepared a summary of your direct testimony?
Yes, I have.
Would you all please deliver your summaries at this time, beginning with Mr. Dills, then we'll go to Mr. Iden, and then Mr. Lynch.
Good morning, Chair Powers and members of the Commission. My name is John Dills. I'm the Director of New Generation for Santee Cooper. In this position, I'm responsible for the design, procurement, construction, commissioning, and startup of all new generation projects. In this docket, I have filed direct testimony that describes the 2 combustion turbine generators, which I call CTGs, and associated facilities being proposed for a brownfield site of Winyah Generating Station in Georgetown, South Carolina. The CTGs are aeroderivative turbines derived from aircraft engines. They inherit the compact size and rapid response characteristics of their aviation counterparts, and as compared to conventional frame turbines, have higher thermal efficiency and excel at quickly adjusting to varying load demands. Also, these CTGs can be rapidly started and stopped. They can start up in 5 minutes and ramp up at 50 megawatts per minute, which provides several benefits, including the ability to count towards Santee Cooper's reserve margin without the turbines actually running. Furthermore, they will add responsiveness during system emergencies and extreme weather events, and additional capacity to respond to fluctuations in variable energy resources. The CTGs, which GE Vernova manufacturers, will employ dual fuel dry low NOx combustion system, which allows them to operate on both natural gas and fuel oil while minimizing NOx emissions without the use of water or steam injection. The turbine generators will operate in simple cycle mode. To generate electricity, air is drawn into the turbine and compressed. Fuel is injected into the turbine's combustion chamber, mixed with the hot compressed air and burned. The high gases resulting from the combustion move through the turbine blades, expanding and causing the blades to spin. This mechanical energy causes the drive shaft connected to the generator to rotate and produce electricity. Notably, the CTG's aeroderivative technology is better suited than other gas turbine technology for lower megawatt applications, and they offer more flexibility as they can be brought online and offline more quickly and more frequently to respond to system needs than a single larger CTG can. Installing 2 smaller 50 megawatt blocks of discrete dispatchable capacity, as Santee Cooper is proposing here, also provides more system redundancy than a single larger unit. Additionally, these proposed CTGs are favored over other gas turbine technology because of reduced maintenance costs and a simpler design. Santee Cooper has proposed to locate this project on a 20-acre brownfield site at the Winyah Generating Station. The site is a closed ash pond, and it was chosen because a natural gas pipeline crosses the site. An existing labor force is available to operate and maintain the equipment, and the current transmission infrastructure at the site allows for approximately 150 megawatts of additional generation to be interconnected on the 230 kV system at or adjacent to Winyah Generating Station. Santee Cooper estimates the cost to construct the 2 combustion turbine generators and other facilities at about $257 million, and interconnection costs are estimated at about $23.5 million. It also estimates the project to take approximately 28 months to complete and projects commercial operation date as early as December of 2027. Santee Cooper has taken proactive steps to mitigate possible construction delays and cost overruns. For instance, long lead time components, including CTGs, have been secured to ensure their timely delivery, and Santee Cooper and Sargent & Lundy will have an on-site engineering team which includes schedule and cost control personnel. This team will track progress weekly and costs monthly to ensure the project avoids unnecessary schedule delays and cost overruns. In addition, the proposed CTG project at Winyah Generating Station is a prudent, cost-effective, and timely solution to address Santee Cooper's near-term capacity requirements, enhance system reliability, and support the integration of renewable resources. The project leverages existing infrastructure, minimizes environmental impact, and positions Santee Cooper to meet future load demands efficiently. This concludes the summary of my direct testimony. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair Powers and members of the Commission. My name is Paul Iden. As noted, I am Project Director and Senior Vice President at Sargent & Lundy, LLC. On behalf of Santee Cooper, Sargent & Lundy has conducted a business case evaluation and a front-end engineering design study, known as a FEED study, that are relevant to this proceeding. I have submitted pre-filed direct testimony in this proceeding that discusses both the business case evaluation and the FEED study. A business case evaluation is a future resource analysis that evaluates the appropriateness of various options for the development of new generation and energy storage. Here, the business case evaluation compared the proposed CTGs at Winyah with other generation and storage options, and it ultimately identified a simple cycle combustion turbine arrangement as an effective, reliable solution for Santee Cooper's needs. Notably, the business case evaluation also indicates that the proposed CTGs align with Santee Cooper's IRP recommendations, which emphasize the need for additional peaking generation to support increasing energy demands and the integration of renewable power. It also concluded that the proposed CTGs will provide multiple benefits, including the ability to provide electricity on demand and run continuously, respond to renewable power intermittency by starting and stopping quickly, along with ramping load up and down, and requiring a relatively short timeline for project development and construction. The business case evaluation further recommended prioritizing the development of the CTGs at the Winyah site because of several advantages of this location, such as an existing power generation infrastructure, water availability and wastewater discharge path, existing operations and maintenance staff, and a natural gas pipeline. Sargent & Lundy also conducted a FEED study, which developed an initial design and cost estimate for the proposed CTGs at the Winyah generating station. The primary findings of the FEED study include confirmation that the proposed CTGs, when operating on natural gas, will provide a net electrical output of approximately 107 megawatts at winter conditions, which is appropriate in response to the anticipated demand. It also produced an estimated capital cost for the installation of the CTGs of approximately $257 million, which includes a contingency allowance. It also assembled an initial schedule for the project, which reflects substantial completion of the project approximately 28 months from the filing of my testimony, and the FEED study confirmed that the Winyah site is a practical and feasible location for this project. In summary, Sargent & Lundy's evaluation demonstrates that the addition of 2 CTGs and associated facilities at Winyah Generating Station is the superior generation option for Santee Cooper to meet its energy and capacity needs. The CTGs are aeroderivative units known for their quick startup capabilities and efficiency, making them suitable for meeting peak demand and balancing intermittent resources and load. This flexibility will enhance grid stability as Santee Cooper adds renewable energy. Additionally, the financial analysis indicates that the CTGs will be a cost-effective solution due to their operational flexibility, ability to generate on demand and during peak periods, and lower overall operational costs compared to alternatives that require more frequent maintenance or replacements. Also, the facility's design can accommodate future expansion, including the potential addition of more combustion turbines or other technologies, which will allow Santee Cooper to respond to changing market dynamics and customer needs over time. In conclusion, the addition of 2 CTGs and associated facilities at the Winyah Generating Station strategically aligns with Santee Cooper's long-term resource planning objectives, and it is a reasonable and prudent project as it leverages existing infrastructure, supports system reliability, and provides flexible, dispatchable capacity to meet growing energy demands. This concludes the summary of my direct testimony.
Good morning, Chair and Powers and members of the Commission. My name is Brian Lynch. I am the Director of Environmental Services for Santee Cooper. I have submitted pre-filed direct testimony in this docket which addresses the environmental impacts and permitting requirements for construction and operation of 2 combustion turbine generators and associated facilities at the Winyah Generating Station. In my testimony, I explain the project will not have any significant adverse environmental impacts. The project utilizes a brownfield site at an existing generating station that has existing natural gas infrastructure. Specifically, it will be located within the footprint of the South Ash Pond at the Winyah Station, which is approximately 75-acre surface impoundment that historically has received fly ash, bottom ash, low-volume wastewater, and industrial stormwater. As an update to my testimony, Santee Cooper has concluded pond closure activities for this site. With regard to this project's potential impact on wildlife, Santee Cooper has engaged a professional consulting firm to evaluate any anticipated impacts on the project on rare, threatened, and endangered species. The consultant concluded that the project is likely to have no effect on most of the federal listed species, and Santee Cooper has received consistency letters from U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service about this. Santee Cooper will continue to coordinate with South Carolina Department of Natural Resources regarding any state-listed species. Santee Cooper has engaged a professional consulting firm to conduct an approximate wetland determination of the project. The consultant determined that no jurisdictional wetlands or other waters of the United States are likely to be present in this project area. With regards to cultural resources, Santee Cooper has hired a professional consulting firm to conduct a cultural resources review of the literature and records, search of the project site. No known cultural resources have been identified within a half-mile radius of the project area or within the project area itself. Also, due to prior construction of the ash pond, no archaeological deposits at the site are expected. South Carolina State Historic Preservation Office has concurred with this assessment. Santee Cooper has also considered the effect of the project's construction on the scenic quality of the region. The project is expected to have minimal visual effects because of the construction heights are commensurate with the existing structures, existing buffers, and surrounding vegetation. The project area is well buffered by forested wetlands to the south, to the west, and other existing compatible industrial developments to the north and to the east, including the existing Winyah Station coal-fired units. Also, there are no public access to this industrial area and no external public roads or homes within 4,000 feet of it. In my testimony, I also explained that the project's proposed generators will comply with all applicable federal, state, and local regulations and the requirements, including those pertaining to air quality. Santee Cooper expects air dispersion modeling will demonstrate that the project will not cause or contribute to the exceedance of ambient air quality standards. My testimony also outlines that any impact of the project on water quality will be minimal, as proposed generators use a small amount of water relative to the existing generation on site. My testimony further details the environmental permits that Santee Cooper will need to be able to construct and operate the facilities. Those include a performance of significant deterioration construction permit from the South Carolina Department of Environmental Services and various stormwater and wastewater permits. As previously noted, and an update to my testimony now, that Santee Cooper has secured natural gas availability for the project. It will be modifying the PSD construction permit to add natural gas as another fuel source. As an update, the 2024 Greenhouse Gas New Source Performance Standards regulations will apply to these units. Santee Cooper will be modifying its permit to allow these combustion turbines to operate on natural gas prior to commercial operation. Additionally, it does not anticipate these regulations will restrict the operation given the heat rate and expected capacity of these peaking units. In summary, constructing and operating the proposed combustion turbine generators and associated facilities at the Winyah Station will not cause any significant adverse environmental impacts, and any impact is justified considering the state of the available technology and the nature and economics of the various alternatives. Additionally, as witness Dembla, Settle, and Iden testify, the project and itself facilities represent the best solution to allow Santee Cooper to meet the projected demand cost effectively and reliably. This concludes the summary of my direct testimony.
Thank you to the members of the panel. Mr. Chairman, at this time, Mr. Dills, Mr. Iden, and Mr. Lynch are available for cross-examination from other parties and for questions from the commission.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper. Thank you, gentlemen. Any questions from ORS?
No questions.
All right. Any questions from commissioners? Commissioner Williams.
Thank you, Chair Powers. Good morning. I think my questions are for Mr. Iden and Mr. Lynch because they have to do with the map or the maps. And I don't see the exact map that was introduced or was referenced earlier this morning, but it looks like it's in Exhibit B, which the site map is in Exhibit B from Sargent and Lundy. Would someone be able to pick one of those maps and just give us an orientation to the site? I can give you, some examples, but but again, I found them in Exhibit B. They're on about page 63. There's one. I think we saw a larger site map earlier, and if I should be asking this of somebody else, let me know.
I'd be happy to start with the response, and hopefully we'll give you the information that you require.
Okay.
So as we've described,
would you tell me what map you're looking at?
Right now, I'm looking at Exhibit 3 out of the Sargent and Lundy feed study.
And page number?
It would be page 70.
Okay.
At the very end is Exhibits 3 and Exhibits 4.
Okay, I'm still working on finding page 70 of your. Yeah, I've got it. Yeah. The page 70 that I see is more pixelated, so I'm thinking there's another page 70 that I should be looking at. So I'm in exhibit.
Rather than looking at the direct testimony, maybe look at the feed study. Look at the summary testimony at the exhibits.
Okay. I'm in the application. Are you in your testimony? I can switch.
Yes.
You're in your testimony.
Yes.
Okay. That may help us. Okay. Why don't you just talk? I'm just interested in an orientation.
Can I ask you again, are you in 3 or 4?
3.
Okay, thank you.
It's labeled Winyah Generating Station Aerial, dated August 18th of this year. It's labeled as Iden Direct Exhibit number 3. Gives an aerial view of the existing Winyah generating site, which is a 4-unit coal plant located in Georgetown. This is a little bit of a zoomed in version compared to the zoomed out version that Mr. Cooper shared during the opening statement. The existing coal plant, you could see the 4 coal boilers that are located at the north end of the site. As you work your way directly south, it is the coal pile for the existing site. And then just to the south, sort of towards the south end of the existing site, is a coal ash pond that has been cleaned and closed that provides real estate for putting in the new generation facility. The new facility is approximately 20 acres, be located essentially in the middle of that closed coal ash pond.
And can I try to orient on that, if I may?
Go for it, please.
Is that the thing that looks like the racetrack?
Yes.
That's the coal ash pond?
Yeah, the reason it looks like a racetrack is around the perimeter of the oval of the ash pond is a rail track that is used for bringing in coal.
Okay.
So inside of that coal loop, which can handle a large number of train cars, was the former ash pond that's now been closed, and it provides the area for putting in the new generating facility.
And that's about 20 acres?
The new facility will be about 20 acres, which is a relatively small percentage of the total area inside the pond.
Okay, thank you.
I'm looking at something that says project area 39.2 acres. It's on page 63 of 140 of the application.
The extra acreage would speak to the transmission line that cuts through that same area. The transmission line and the interconnect will be located immediately west of the generating facility.
Also, what's the proximity of the site to Highway 17? And do you know if Highway 17 is also known as South Fraser Street?
It is.
Okay.
And we're referring to the road that's located to the east of the Winyah generating station, and it runs north-south, basically on the east side of the facility. I don't know the exact distance. That's hundreds of feet. It's not immediate.
Right. One of the things that I noted and was curious about in Exhibit B had to do with a variety of aerials, some of which showed what looks like wetness, freshwater emergent wetland on the site. It's actually page 75 of 102 of the application. But yet, when I look at the aerial, and I know a little bit about wetlands, but I don't. The map is, I guess, describe to me what freshwater emergent wetlands are and how that fits with what you are asking to do, and why that's appropriate.
Yeah. So to talk about water through the U.S. fresh wetlands, this water management that happens within the ash pond. So the ash pond itself total is a 75-acre area ash pond that, as they're cleaning and moving things, there's water management that happens. So there's standing water that's in that pond at different times in different pictures, but it's not designated as a wetland due to its non-connectivity to receiving waters and the fact that that water is pumped and treated back out through our industrial wastewater treatment pond.
And that's what emergent means in this case. It's not there all the time.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
That helps my understanding. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams, Commissioner Caston.
Thank you. And, Mr. Deal, in your summary, you talked about proactive steps to mitigate possible construction delays and all, and you talk about long lead items, including the CDGs, have been secured to ensure their timely delivery. With the possibility that the project isn't approved, relative to those things being secured, what would happen?
Yeah, yes, sir. So the market is very hot right now, very much in demand. These LM6000s are very much in demand all over the world, really. And reselling what we have purchased to another person would not be difficult at all to do. So that would be the plan, would be to resell it in the event that it's not approved. The only way to get these resources commercial by December of 2027 was to go ahead and secure those two spots. And these were the last two LM6000s manufactured in that class, and they just came open at a certain time of year. Just happens to be it was the right technology for us. So our board approved securing those and securing that spot with the knowledge that we could unload them if we needed to and not lose money on the project.
Thank you. Sounds like maybe you ought to buy a bunch more, mark them up, and sell them.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Deal. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Commissioner Caston. Any further commissioner questions? Commissioner Britt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Got a quick question back to this map. And I've been by this area a million times, just never paid close attention to it. What is all this up in the top portion? Is that offices and where you ran the coal plant, up in the top? And also, what is all this? extra part of the 2,000 acres that was mentioned.
Okay, so
earlier.
is there any way we
I was
can
going to
put?
see.
Yeah, put it back. Yeah, Mr. Cooper showed a
Yeah, right, that's
slide of it
exactly-
earlier. Can we just help me as we're trying to get oriented?
Okay, I will take a stab at it. So to the
And Mr. Dills, if this helps.
Very good. All right. So if you look to the very far left of that picture is a long linear pond. That is the cooling pond for Winyah Generating Station. It takes water out of the Winyah River, puts it in that pond, and that's used for cooling the thermal coal cycle. Just to the left of that is the biggest feature. Just to the left of that is the Area 2 solid waste landfill. So at one time that was the slurry pond for Unit 2. The slurry was removed out of it. It was clean closed, and we built a Class 3 landfill over the top of that. That one is full and closed at this point, so no additional. A newer photograph would make that look like a grassy hill. Just below that is pond one. A and
Mr.
B.
Chairman, is there a pointer on that little clicker that he can point up there? I'm kind of getting lost. It won't work.
Commissioner, I don't believe there is that capability.
Okay.
Walk up to the screen and point.
I will be.
Well,
I'll be glad to.
I know you can't talk and do that.
well, can we get a wireless mic?
I don't mind volunteering if you're patient. Tell me where to
Okay,
point.
yeah, that
but,
works.
That's
I mean,
just would be helpful.
I'm subjecting myself to a lot after the Highway 17 question, but
Thank you, Bama. So you see the cooling pond, Ashley? That's the
black
long
pond.
linear
On the right.
green. That right there is Ash Pond A and B. The A is the upper section of that. That has been clean closed and is the second solid waste landfill that's on site. And that is where we're currently removing all of the ash out of the 3 and 4 slurry pond. And that's where most of the ash out of the South Ash Pond went. So that is a working solid waste landfill in that section. If you go,
Is Georgetown County using that?
no, it's just Santee Cooper's,
Just
and
for
it's
Santee
only
Cooper.
for coal ash.
Okay.
Yeah, Georgetown County has its own municipal solid waste landfill. So go back to the top where the Area 1 landfill right there. And to the left of that is a facility called American Gypsum. That is where the gypsum that's made at that plant is recycled. That's a leased area, and we don't have anything to do with that other than providing gypsum to them as a byproduct out of the plant. If you go all the way across, yep, that is the 3 and 4 slurry pond that's currently being closed as we speak. And just below that, down right there, is that's the West Ash Pond. It is currently closed under the CCR regulations, but it was closed prior to the regulations being finalized, and the ash, so we have until 2030 to remove all of the ash out of that pond, and that is being beneficially reused for the most part by CEPA right now for use in cement production. So go to the South Ash Pond where this project's proposed. Yep, and straight down further. Okay, all that is also a part of the project. That was used as borrow pits for the ELG and CCR projects, and so what's left is just wetlands that's left out of the borrow pits. The remediation for removing the fill out of it was to leave it as a wetland. So that's
pretty much the site.
Well, what about all the other around that, the one that Mr. Cooper just had his finger on, all that green around it and up and down there, looks like an airport?
Oh, that's off the site. That is
No, I'm talking about within the orange, that.
that is the cooling pond. That's the 300-acre cooling pond used for the thermal cooling of the coal plant.
So it's being used now.
Yes, sir. That is still
Okay.
being used.
All right, that's helpful. Thank you.
Oh, yes, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Brett.
Good job, Mr. Cooper.
Thank you for the virtual site visit.
Yes, ma'am.
And not using a drone is very helpful.
Any other commissioner questions? Mr. Lynch, what would be the stage or where would you be as far as other permits? This being a coastal county, I know that you've got to deal with the DHEC regulations, the OCRM group. Are those already in progress or?
Yes, sir. Yes. So we are in process of we've submitted the application to Georgetown County. Georgetown County is MS4 county, so we start with them for all our water, stormwater, wastewater needs. So we've submitted an application for stormwater construction activities with Georgetown County. This afternoon, in fact, we have a meeting with DES a pre-application meeting for water and wastewater, stormwater permits for this site relevant to that. So we'll be meeting with those. That meeting will include the Bureau of Coastal Management as well as water. So we're going to meet with both of those simultaneously so we can talk through this project with them. We anticipate we've got to get the MS4 approval prior to submitting the application to DES, but we expect that to happen in the next couple of months.
All right. And you said that the closed ash pond, that you've used it for wastewater and different things. Are you going to have to do mitigation when you start trying to use other areas for this, or is it all going to be within the red lines, as we call it?
Yeah, it's all within the closure plan itself. So both the federal and state, we've got to get a closure plan approved through both. So there's mitigation efforts in the groundwater remediation primarily. So we've got a series of groundwater wells that surround the South Ash Pond that we monitor, and we're waiting for that to naturally attenuate. If that doesn't naturally attenuate, then we'll have to inject some kind of treatment or pump and treat that facility. But the ash has been removed. So our mitigation was to fully remove the ash from that pond, go an additional 6 inches at least to clean soil. Then we backfill with clean soil on top of that. And so that's the mitigation for the pond. The biggest long-term mitigation is in the groundwater remediation.
All right. So, and I think there's some perception sometimes that with the coal ash, there may be some danger. You've replaced it with clean soil, so anybody working there or working on this project is in no danger of any sort of chemical exposure or anything that could be a hazard.
That's exactly right. Yeah, so we had to remove the ash through microscopic analysis to make sure that there's no ash present. So, and then the clean soil. So I would agree, there is no danger from chemical hazards from this.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any further commissioner questions? Hearing none, thank you, gentlemen. Excuse me before you get up. And then you redirect.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No redirect.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's 11:30. Let's go ahead and take a morning break, and if everyone could be back and ready to go at 10 till 12, it'd be perfect. We're in recess until 11:50. Good morning again and welcome back. We are still on docket number 2025-246-E. Mr. Cooper, you have one more panel for us? That's even better.
Thank you. South Carolina Public Service Authority now calls Franklin Clay Settle, Christopher M. Wagner, and Richard Kirkpatrick to the stand to appear as a panel.
You would raise your right hands, please. Do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
All right, we'll start with you, Mr. Settle. Can you please introduce yourself and state your name for the record?
Franklin Clay Settle.
And by whom are you employed and in what capacity?
Santee Cooper as a Senior Manager of Resource Planning.
And
Mr. Settle, you can move that microphone closer, make you more comfortable.
Thank you, sir.
I'm sorry.
No, thank you. Mr. Settle, have you prepared or caused to be prepared under your supervision direct testimony of 39 pages that was previously filed with the Commission August 28th, 2025 in this docket?
Yes.
Do you have any changes or additions to your pre-filed direct testimony?
Yes, I have two corrections. On page 28, give you a minute to flip there, lines 13 through 15. My direct testimony should correctly read, the Encompass Modeling Incorporated projections of EE program impacts that are from the 2023 Market Potential Study projections as utilized in the 2025 IRP update, as well as estimates of the incremental EE program impacts for Central. And then on page 29, lines 7 through 11, should correctly read, the EE and DR projections utilized for the assessment of capacity need are summarized below in figure FCS 4 as depicted in this figure. By 2028, the EE programs are estimated to provide incremental reductions in demand of 12 megawatts, and DR programs are projected to provide 66 megawatts of capacity for a combined total of 78 megawatts. These are both corrections that Santee Cooper notified the ORS during discovery.
And we will file redlined testimony with those corrections as well.
Thank you.
With those corrections incorporated into your direct testimony, if I asked you the same questions here today, would your answers be the same?
Yes.
Chairman Powers, at this time, I move that the pre-filed direct testimony of Mr. Settle, as corrected, be admitted into the record as if orally given from the stand.
The pre-filed corrected direct testimony of Mr. Settle will be entered to the record as if given orally from the stand.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Settle. All right, Mr. Wagner, can you please introduce yourself and state your name for the record?
My name's Christopher Wagner.
And by whom are you employed and in what capacity?
Santee Cooper, Director of Transmission Planning.
Mr. Wagner, have you prepared or caused to be prepared under your supervision direct testimony of 9 pages that was previously filed with the Commission on August 28, 2025 in this docket?
Yes, I have.
Do you have any changes or additions to your pre-filed direct testimony?
I do not.
If I asked you the same questions here today, would your answers be the same?
Yes, they would.
All right. Have you prepared or caused to be prepared under your supervision any exhibits to your direct testimony?
I have not.
Chairman Powers, at this time, I move that the pre-filed direct testimony of Mr. Wagner be admitted into the record as if given orally from the stand.
The pre-filed direct testimony of Mr. Wagner will be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand.
Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Wagner. All right, Mr. Kirkpatrick, can you please state your name for the record?
Richard Kirkpatrick.
And by whom are you employed and in what capacity?
Santee Cooper as the Director of Energy Supply.
Mr. Kirkpatrick, have you prepared or caused to be prepared under your supervision rebuttal testimony of 4 pages that was previously filed with the Commission on October 31st, 2025 in this docket?
Yes, I have.
Do you have any changes or additions to your pre-filed rebuttal testimony?
No.
If I asked you the same questions here today, would your answers be the same?
Yes, they would.
Have you prepared or caused to be prepared under your supervision any exhibits to your rebuttal testimony?
No.
Chairman Powers, at this time, I move that the pre-filed rebuttal testimony of Mr. Kirkpatrick be admitted into the record as if given orally from the stand.
The pre-filed rebuttal testimony of Mr. Kirkpatrick will be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand.
Thank you. Mr. Settle, have you prepared a summary of your direct testimony?
Yes.
And Mr. Wagner, have you also prepared a summary of your direct testimony?
Yes, I have.
Mr. Kirkpatrick, same question. Have you prepared a summary of your rebuttal testimony?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Starting with Mr. Settle, can you please deliver your summaries at this time?
Good morning, Chair Powers and members of the Commission. My name is Clay Settle. I'm the Senior Manager of Resource Planning for Santee Cooper. In this role, I'm responsible for the development of Santee Cooper's Integrated Resource Plan, or the IRP, and for coordinating Santee Cooper's resource planning with Central Electric Power Cooperative Incorporated. In this docket, I have submitted direct testimony in support of Santee Cooper's application for the Certificate of Environmental Compatibility and Public Convenience and Necessity to construct and operate 2 aeroderivative combustion turbine generators and associated facilities at the Winyah Generating Station. In my testimony, I explained the planning processes, modeling, and analysis that led to the selection of the 2 combustion turbine generators, which I call CGTs, as a cost-effective means to fulfill an identified energy and capacity need and to serve the interests of system economy and reliability. My testimony begins by describing how Santee Cooper's resource planning is closely coordinated with Central Electric Power Cooperative Incorporated. Santee Cooper and Central participate in joint planning for and development of a system load forecast for the combined system. Their 2025 system load forecast projects robust load growth, including a need for additional capacity of almost 250 megawatts in the winter 2028, and ultimately increasing to additional 2,000 megawatts needed upon the retirement of the Winyah Generating Station. In short, based on this recent load forecast, Santee Cooper's existing capacity and approved planned additions are insufficient to meet the current projected capacity requirements of the combined system. As a result, following development of the 2025 system load forecast, Santee Cooper and Central engaged in joint generation expansion planning. This planning evaluated different generation resource options, including the 2 CTGs proposed in this docket, for the combined system to economically fulfill the capacity and energy needs. The plan supported implementation of the CTGs at Winyah and was unanimously approved by Santee Cooper and Central's Joint Planning Commission in July 2025 and was incorporated in the analysis performed for the 2025 IRP update and this application. Importantly, the 2 CTGs proposed for Winyah are supported by analysis and modeling Santee Cooper has utilized. To evaluate the merits of the Winyah CTGs, Santee Cooper used Encompass simulation software to evaluate different portfolio strategies. Santee Cooper established an economically optimized portfolio, the 2025 optimized portfolio, to meet system load growth and reliability requirements. The key resources of the 2025 optimized portfolio were evaluated through the EPA GHG rule sensitivity portfolio analysis that evaluated the impacts of the 2024 GHG rule and a portfolio that evaluated the impacts of the 2025 draft GHG rule alternative pathway. In modeling the different portfolios, Santee Cooper allowed the Encompass model to select a variety of different generation options, including solar, battery, wind, large frame CTG, aeroderivative CTG, natural gas, and nuclear. Santee Cooper also evaluated power purchase agreement options from its 2025 capacity RFP. The modeling also considered cost and performance characteristics, schedule constraints, fuel costs and availability, transmission constraints and costs, ancillary service capabilities, and current and reasonably expected future environmental costs and restrictions of the different generation options. The modeling further incorporated projections of energy efficiency and demand-side management programs for Santee Cooper and Central. Santee Cooper's Encompass modeling resulted in the 2025 optimized portfolio, which is the least cost portfolio to meet system ancillary services, load growth, and planning reserve margin requirements. The 2025 optimized portfolio found that the two aeroderivative CTGs at Winyah, as well as other resource additions involving a combination of battery, natural gas combined cycle, and large frame combustion turbines, are a part of the least cost portfolio for Santee Cooper. The EPA GHG rule sensitivity analysis supported the decision to construct combustion turbine resources regardless of the EPA rule status. Notably, the key conclusions from the portfolio analysis are consistent with the 2024 IRP update, which identified the need for additional peaking capacity to meet the system peaking needs beginning in the late 2020s. The analysis also consistent with the conclusions of the 2025 IRP update, which identifies the addition of the CTG resources as part of a cost-effective and reliable generation portfolio that will minimize ratepayer risk and meet growing system needs. In conclusion, Santee Cooper faces a projected capacity need of almost 250 megawatts in winter 2028, and the proposed CTGs and associated facilities at Winyah Generating Station are reliable and cost-effective resources to help meet this need. Santee Cooper's modeling analysis confirms that the CTGs, in comparison to reasonable available alternatives and their associated costs, risk, and operating attributes, are needed, cost-effective, and appropriate resource additions to help meet this need and serve the interests of system economy and reliability. The CTGs will provide critical system reliability attributes through dispatchable quick start capability to meet not only system load and planning reserve margin requirements, but also real-time system operating reserve requirements needed to have a safe and reliable energy system. This concludes the summary of my direct testimony.
Thank you. Mr. Wagner?
Good morning, Chair Powers, members of the Commission. My name is Christopher Wagner. I'm Director of Transmission Planning for Santee Cooper. I'm responsible for overseeing transmission planning activities, assessing system reliability, and managing generator interconnection processes for Santee Cooper's transmission system. I've submitted pre-filed direct testimony in support of Santee Cooper's application in this docket. My testimony explains what facilities will be needed to interconnect the proposed project to the electric grid, as well as Santee Cooper's generator interconnection study process. In my testimony, I discuss how the Winyah Generating Station is currently interconnected to the electric grid through a 230, 115, 34 kV substation, with 3 of the 4 existing generators connected at the 230 kV voltage level and 1 connected at the 115 kV voltage level. An initial review of transmission capability indicates that existing facilities will allow for approximately 150 megawatts of additional generation to be interconnected to the 230 kV system at or adjacent to the Winyah Generating Station without the need for additional network facilities. In my testimony, I also identify the transmission facilities that will be needed to interconnect the proposed combustion turbine generators to the electric system. The combustion turbines will be located adjacent to the existing Charity to Winyah 230 kV line on the Winyah generating site. To connect the turbines to the electric grid, the project will require a new 230 kV switching station and fold-in of the existing Charity to Winyah 230 kV line to the new 230 kV switching station. Through the application, Santee Cooper requests that a like facility determination that these interconnection facilities constitute the replacement of an existing facility, the existing Charity to Williams 230 kV line, with a like facility, and therefore do not constitute construction of a major utility facility for which certification is required under the Siting Act. On October 10, 2025, the Commission issued an order granting this request for this like facility determination. My testimony also outlines Santee Cooper's ongoing transmission planning studies for the project, which are expected to be completed in late 2026. Those studies are being conducted pursuant to the Definitive Interconnection System Impact Study, or DISIS, process under Santee Cooper's Open Access Transmission Tariff. The DISIS process is a cluster-based process that consists of 2 definitive two defined phases of study, an optional third phase, and a facility study. This project is being evaluated in the 2025 cluster, and Santee Cooper expects the Phase 1 study to be completed by the end of this year. The Phase 1 study will provide a preliminary high-level estimate of the cost and time required to construct the interconnection facilities, system protection facilities, and any identified network upgrades for all projects in the cluster. Santee Cooper expects the 2025 DICES study process to be completed in late 2026. Subject to confirmation through the interconnection study process, Santee Cooper does not anticipate the need for additional network upgrades to reliably interconnect the proposed combustion turbines. In my testimony, I also discussed the benefits the project will have from transmission and operational perspectives. For example, locating the proposed generation at the Winyah generating site near areas of concentrated and growing load will provide reliability benefits for the area, especially following the retirement of the existing coal units. They will also provide additional future operational flexibility as the system evolves. Furthermore, from an operational perspective, because of the fast start capability and ramp rate of the LM6000 technology, the combustion turbine generators will provide the Santee Cooper system with additional operating reserves and responsiveness during system emergencies and extreme weather events, and with additional capability to respond to fluctuations in variable energy resources such as solar. These capabilities will allow Santee Cooper to comply with NERC reliability standards associated with balancing generation output with load in an efficient manner. This concludes the summary of my direct testimony.
Thank you. Mr. Kirkpatrick?
Good morning, Chair Powers and members of the Commission. My name is Richard Kirkpatrick, and I am the Director of Energy Supply for Santee Cooper. In this proceeding, I have filed rebuttal testimony to provide an update about the status of Santee Cooper's efforts to secure natural gas service to the site and a timeline of expected availability of natural gas service for the project. Since filing of the application, Santee Cooper has secured the necessary natural gas service for the project. As of October 29, 2025, it has reached an agreement with a counterparty on CGT for the permanent release of 5,700 decatherms per day of pipeline capacity that will be utilized for transporting fuel to the Winyah LM units. This capacity will provide approximately 6 hours of runtime for the CTGs on a daily basis. Santee Cooper will be able to utilize natural gas for the Winyah LM units upon completion of a CGT metering station where it interconnects with its system. CGT estimates about 6 to 8 months to complete construction of the metering station. This timeline aligns with Santee Cooper's expected timeline for completing the necessary on-site facilities and permits for natural gas consumption for the project by approximately January 2028. This concludes the summary of my rebuttal testimony.
Thank you. Chairman Powers, at this time, Mr. Settle, Mr. Wagner, and Mr. Kirkpatrick are available for cross-examination from the other parties and questioning by the Commission.
Thank you very much, and thank you, gentlemen. ORS, any questions?
No questions.
Commissioner questions? Any commissioner questions? Commissioner Caston.
Thank you. You know, I probably should have mentioned something to Mr. Lynch. I thought about it during the break. It has nothing to do with what I'm going to ask you guys. Just talking about coal ash and cinder. And I ran on a bunch of cinder tracks in high school. And they even had one at Clemson. Well, where the soccer field is now, we didn't, run on it full time. But nonetheless, if it's dangerous now, was it dangerous then? Rhetorical question. But I can tell you, if you fell on it, you really got cut up badly. I really wanted to ask you a couple of questions, Ms. Settle, if that's okay.
Yes, sir.
On page 10 of your direct, you talk about the several potential new large loads amounting to over 400 megawatts, signed service agreements. And, as I read through that, I think you took, you said you took that out of the stochastic analysis. And is that 400 megawatts, in excess of 400 megawatts, when you say signed service agreements, is that confirmed, in place, because you said several potential new large loads, you know, in excess of 400 million. So potential and signed service agreements kind of confuse me.
So maybe I can just talk about at a high level the methodology, and I think I can answer your question through that. So in the 2024 IRP update, in response to the commission order, for us to, in lack of a better terms, to better incorporate economic development load growth in our load forecast and resource planning, our load forecast team developed a methodology where we were able to, through a risk mitigated process, incorporate load growth into our planning. And through doing that, our load forecasting formed a group of experts that are folks that are talking to potential customers like economic development, people at the water plant, Central Electric Cooperative, the folks that are actually having discussions with potential projects. And each project that is included in the analysis gets assigned 3 probabilities. One, it's the likelihood to connect or not connect. 2, the likelihood the load, the magnitude is what's being projected or not. And then the other is the ramp rate. When do they connect and how does it ramp in? And then they do a stochastic analysis like we talked about before, and they do look at 50,000 potential outcomes with random variations of those probabilities for those customers. And then in the load forecast, we take what's called the P50, the median of that. So going into the 25 IRP update, that methodology, the same methodology was used. This 400 megawatts that's referred to in my testimony were potential customers in the 2024 IRP update in that stochastic analysis. They've since signed service agreements and have committed to join the system. And so they've been moved to as what we call the base load forecast. So that base load forecast is the forecast where we're projecting our existing customers and committed customers that have signed contracts. And then we have the potential above that. And so just to give you a magnitude reference, in the 2025 IRP update and the 25 load forecast, those 24 potential projects included in the analysis that totaled about 3,900 megawatts in total. We're planning for about 860 megawatts of that in the load forecast. So significantly more is in that stochastic, and that risk-averse stochastic method, plans for about 800 megawatts of that. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And when I continued reading page 11, and I'll be honest, I got lost in the weeds as far as all the different percentages, the system load forecast versus the average growth rate. And if you'll bear with me, let me kind of go through this and help me.
Yes, sir.
On the winter peak demand, in 2040, you say the forecast is to be 215 megawatts higher, meaning the system load forecast of whatever it was, 215 is 3% higher than the forecast system in 2024 IRP. The 2024 IRP update, I was looking at those curves and I couldn't find specifically where it was, and maybe I just missed it, but it looks like is that difference between what I think is 7,500 and the dash line, which I'm assuming is 215 megawatts less than that solid line?
When you look at that figure, FCS1 on page 11, you'll see 3 lines there.
Yes.
And the bottom dash line is the 2023 IRP load forecast.
Mm-hmm.
The top dash line is the 2024 IRP load forecast, and then the solid line is the 2025 load forecast. So that 215 is the difference between the solid line, the 2025 load forecast, and that dash line just under the 2024 load forecast. Yes, sir.
I'm pretty sure that's what it was, and that 3%, which if I did the math right, it's a little bit less than 3%, but that's basically what that is. It's that difference.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's right.
And the average growth rate, you said, is, I guess, 4.3% compared to 3.36%. I guess 4.3% from 2025 to 2028 and 3.6 in the 2024 IRP update. Now, is that an electricity demand growth rate?
So in this context, it would refer to the demand, but you can relate that to electricity
demand.
Yes, during the peak time. Yes,
Okay. And the 2025 to 2040, the CAGR, 2% compared to 1.7%. Is that a demographic, or is that?
That's the compound annual growth rate. It's a common term for load
Right,
forecasting. Yes, sir.
right. But I mean, when I look at that, thinking in terms of just the demographics, the population projections, and the growth rate.
Yes, sir.
In South Carolina, I'm trying to better understand the basis for the percentages.
Yeah, so you could relate that to just kind of natural growth of the system, is what that CAGR refers to. So if you're thinking of like our base load forecast, just people moving to the state, natural growth of the system, that's what that would relate to. Yes, sir.
Okay, that's kind of what I was thinking.
Yes, sir.
Wanted to make sure.
That's correct.
And I believe that answers the questions I had. This point in time, I have no more. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Caston. Any further commissioner questions? Commissioner Thomas.
Thank you, and good afternoon. So, Mr. Kirkpatrick, I believe my question is for you. You indicated that you've obtained a permanent release of pipeline capacity and that it will provide approximately 6 hours of runtime. And given that this facility is supposed to be a peaking facility, will that capacity be available during the peak times that would be anticipated that the plant would be needed?
Yes, sir. We anticipate that the capacity will be available during the peak periods of the day. And to the extent that we had to or had limitations for any sort of reason, we would be able to lean on the fuel oil backup as well.
All right. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. Any further Commissioner Britt?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Got a quick question for Mr. Settle on your testimony summary on page 2.
Yes, sir.
When you mentioned Santee Cooper allow the Encompass model to select from a variety of different generation options. One I'm interested in is the nuclear option. What type of nuclear generation did Encompass? Did the
Pull your
Encompass
microphone a little closer for court reporter.
Under the modeling, when it was mentioned under nuclear, my question is, what type of nuclear generation did the Encompass model evaluate?
So in our resource options, we included a small modular reactor option, and subject to check, it's not available to the model until the late 2030s, just because of the timeline and the uncertainty of that type of resource. But the SMR was modeled in Encompass to select. Yes, sir.
So they would not be, that wouldn't be available till late 2030?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Based on current assumptions. Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. That's all.
Thank you, Commissioner Britt. Any further commissioner questions? Hearing none, any redirect?
No, sir.
Thank you. All right, gentlemen, you may step down.
Mr. Chairman, with that, this concludes Santee Cooper's case, and we'd ask that these witnesses be excused. Realizing we don't have a lot more, but
certainly. But if they got to get to Georgetown, in this weather, they might want to get started.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And that's all the witnesses.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, for Santee Cooper.
All right. Office of Regulatory Staff.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. ORS calls the panel of Jeffrey Gordon and Donald Shane Hyatt.
raise your right hands. Do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Mr. Gordon, I'm going to begin with you. Would you please state your name for the record?
My name is Jeffrey A. Gordon.
And by whom are you employed and in what capacity?
I'm employed by the South Carolina Office of Regulatory Staff as a regulatory analyst in the Energy Planning and Emerging Technology Department.
And did you prepare or cause to be prepared 15 pages of direct testimony pre-filed in this matter on October 24th, 2025 in both confidential and public disclosure versions?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any changes or corrections to your pre-filed direct testimony?
No, I do not.
If I asked you today the same questions posed in your pre-filed direct testimony, would your answers be the same?
Yes.
Chair Powers, ORS would move that the public disclosure version of the pre-filed direct testimony of Jeffrey A. Gordon be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand, and then the confidential version of his direct testimony remain under seal.
The pre-filed direct testimony, both public and confidential, of Mr. Gordon will be entered the record as if given orally from the stand. The confidential version of his testimony shall remain confidential unless or until the Commission rules that such information is not entitled to protection from public disclosure, or if the requesting party agrees that such information is no longer confidential or proprietary.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Gordon, did you prepare a summary of your direct testimony?
Yes, I did.
Would you please present it at this time?
Good afternoon, Chair Powers, Vice Chair Williams, and members of the Commission. My testimony provides the results of ORS's examination and review of Santee Cooper's application for a Certificate of Environmental Compatibility and Public Convenience and Necessity for the construction and operation of 2 dual-fuel aeroderivative combustion turbine generators and associated facilities at its Winyah generating station. My review focused specifically on Santee Cooper's stated need for the project, whether the project will serve the interests of system economy and reliability, and whether Santee Cooper compared the project to other alternative generation options. Based on the information provided by Santee Cooper, ORS determined the project may serve the interests of system economy and reliability. This concludes my summary.
Thank you, Mr. Gordon. Mr. Hyatt, would you please state your name for the record?
My name is Donald Shane Hyatt.
And by whom are you employed and in what capacity?
I'm employed by the South Carolina Office of Regulatory Staff as Project Manager for Santee Cooper in the Energy Operations Division.
Did you prepare or cause to be prepared 8 pages of direct testimony pre-filed in this matter on October 24th, 2025?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any changes or corrections to your pre-filed direct testimony?
No, I do not.
If I asked you today the same questions posed in your direct testimony, would your answers be the same?
Yes, they would.
Chair Powers, ORS asks that the pre-filed direct testimony of Donald Shane Hyatt be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand.
The pre-filed direct testimony, Mr. Donald Shane Hyatt, will be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Hyatt, did you prepare a summary of your direct testimony?
Yes, I did.
Please present it at this time.
Good afternoon, Chair Powers, Vice Chair Williams, and members of the Commission. My testimony provides the results of ORS's examination and review of Santee Cooper's application for a Certificate of Environmental Compatibility and Public Convenience and Necessity for the construction and operation of the 2 dual-fuel aeroderivative combustion turbine generators and associated facilities at its Winyah generation station. My review focused specifically on the nature of the probable environmental impact of the project, whether the impact of the project upon the environment is justified, the reasonable assurances that the project will conform to applicable state and local laws and regulations issued thereunder, and whether the public convenience and necessity requires the construction of the project. Based on the information provided by Santee Cooper, ORS understands the project may result in minimal environmental impact and, as addressed by ORS witness Gordon, may serve the interest of system economy and reliability. Further, ORS does not oppose a finding that the project will serve the public convenience and necessity. ORS recommends that Santee Cooper file quarterly updates with the Commission and ORS on the construction of the project, completion of the project, and date of commercial operation. This concludes my summary.
Thank you, Mr. Hyatt. Mr. Chair, the panel is available for questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the company?
No questions.
All right. Any commissioner questions? Commissioner Williams.
Thank you, Chair Powers. Good afternoon. Good to see you all. Mr. Gordon, we may have had this conversation before, but I'd like for you to just talk a little bit more about your determination and your use of the word may meet the interest of system economy and reliability.
Is there anything more specific you'd like to know?
If you had found anything that concerns you, what would your assessment be?
If I'd found anything that concerned me, it would definitely affect my assessment, and I would likely say that I would bring up my concerns with the commission and allow you to make the determination if you felt those concerns would affect the needs of system economy and reliability. That said, I found nothing of concern in my review. Santee Cooper has done their due diligence, and I found everything to be satisfactory in the course of my review.
I appreciate the amplification that you found it satisfactory in the course of your review. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Williams. Any further commissioner questions? All right, hearing none. Any redirect from Ms. Torrey?
No redirect, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anything further from either party at this time?
No, thank you, Chair Powers.
All right.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you all for your hard work in this matter, and I don't know if we'll see you again. If not, I hope you have a wonderful holiday, and we are adjourned.